Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to check in with you guys about a few things that are administrative before I talk about the discussion board. I was looking through your assignment tab for the library assignment that's upcoming. The due date is tomorrow by the end of the day. And I noticed there wasn't a clear, obvious place for you guys to submit your assignment. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing something that I'm not. As I've told you guys, this is kind of my first run with this online teaching stuff. So I, in the past, had expected to see like a Turnitin link so that it would kind of organize all of your submissions into one place. I had done that way in the past at my prior institution. But it wasn't there, so I've created that. But if there's some other way that you guys were anticipating to submit your papers that wasn't just emailing it to me, feel free to let me know, and maybe I can take that link down if that's not the most helpful way for you guys. But if the other alternative is to send me an email with your paper, I would much prefer you guys to upload these to the Turnitin site, if only because it synthesizes and organizes all of your submissions into one place for me so that I don't have to kind of sift through my emails to locate where you submitted your papers, and I'm not the most organized sometimes, so I don't want to lose your submission by any means. So if you could use that Turnitin link or advise me on what you were expecting to use if there's some more helpful tool for you guys to submit those papers. But I wanted to make you aware of that. And I also wanted to mention I uploaded a slide set that I've used in other classes regarding plagiarism and APA formatting. It might be helpful as you're considering these next assignments. I try to be very casual with the discussion board. I want you to have clarity of thought in expressing your ideas, but I'm not going to be counting off for minor typographical errors or misspellings. I'm trying to strike the balance between being conversational but also being studious. I don't know if I'm hitting that mark in terms of the grading, but I really enjoy seeing your discussions, and I feel like right now the tone is really good, so I don't want to mess with that. But with regard to these formal assignments, the policy analysis and the library assignment that's coming up tomorrow, I do have a higher level of expectations regarding all of that professional formatting. If you guys can look to the APA guide for, structuring your paper, your references, that would be ideal, particularly the in-paper citations. You use quotation marks if you're using direct text from somebody else. If you're paraphrasing what somebody else says, you don't need those citations, the quotation marks, but you do include a citation. Yet if you're using direct text, you have quotation marks, and then you also include the page number from the source that you actually cited, where that text was found. And in case you're not aware of it, I've mentioned it to a couple of other people that have emailed me about these issues, but the Purdue OWL website, if you Google Purdue OWL APA format, you will find that site, and it has all of the most updated APA formatting rules online. So if you don't buy the manual, that's there for you. In my experience, it's all accurate, so feel free to use that. I would advise you to use that if you don't have the manual. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me this weekend. I'll try to be as available as I can, and you can always feel free to text me if you're not getting an email response right away. But with regard to the fun stuff, or the depressing stuff, depending on how you look at it, I really enjoyed reading your discussion post regarding gender progress. However, I have to apologize if my mood or tone was kind of down in my responses, because I was reading news as I was sitting there about some of the, the chip-aways at the progress we've made over the past years. And for example, so I've posted some of these materials and the news stories in the supplemental materials folder on Blackboard, so you guys can review them yourselves. But just this past, I think it just happened yesterday, the Department of Health and Human Services kind of, they broadened an exemption for employers who wish to not cover contraceptives for their employees. So under the Affordable Care Act, mandated that all employers' health insurance cover contraceptives for women at low or no cost to the woman. And there were a couple of, minor exemptions under that law for religious organizations. So if a church, for example, had employees, they could cite that religious objection to paying for the contraceptives, and they didn't have to do that. Yet now we've broadened that exemption just yesterday to say that a wide range of institutions, for example, Hobby Lobby, could say that, they have a moral objection to doing that. So it really lessens women's rights to that reproductive care that they need. And that was disheartening to see. Particularly if you think about it in light with the Terry O'Neill video that the president of now talking about the Affordable Care Act. And this is, a step back from where we were when she was assessing the Affordable Care Act. We're losing little chunks of provisions for women that she, even at the time, felt weren't enough and didn't go far enough. And beyond that, I also posted an update to the Temporary Assistance to Needy Families program, which is, our welfare program. We used to have a certain number of exemptions for individuals who were receiving TANF to not have to go back to work right away, or they didn't have to be actively working. There was I think it was like 13% of caseworkers' caseloads could not be working, and the rest did have to be working. There was a work requirement to receive those welfare services. Now they have done away with any of the exemptions, so everyone must be working. And it sounds like a good thing, and it can be viewed as a good thing. There are different opinions on this, yet you can imagine that low-income women that might have children might not find it to be economically or even emotionally beneficial to be back at work when they've just had a newborn child. Say they already have other children they're taking care of. Those daycare costs might overcome any kind of income they'd make from going back to work. So just thinking about the implications and whose interests are being promoted and whose interests are being forfeited in some of these policies that we're seeing. There's another thing that I didn't post in the supplemental materials regarding the Children's Health Insurance Program. It wasn't refunded. It was supposed to be refunded as of September 30th. So as of right now, if Congress takes no action, the program will just run out of money and children will no longer be insured under this plan, which was mostly for low-income families. If you have an employer that you can get health insurance for your children, you do that. But if you do not, the Children's Health Insurance Program is the payer for those children. So let's hope. I'm trying to not be pessimistic, but the story goes that most states have funds to continue to cover CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Program, through early next year. So Congress has some time to act before the program becomes insolvent, but if they do not act, we'll have to see consequences there for children and for low-income families. So things to keep an eye out for that relate to gender issues and our progress. But hopefully we'll continue to see other gains in this area. I'm feeling very negative right now, but maybe we'll see some positive things. It's a good thing this isn't face-to-face, right? All right, well, thanks for bearing with me, and I'm looking forward to reading your library assignments and your discussion posts next week. I hope you have a great week.